This is Purana Talk. We're reading the Garuda Purana. We've begun the third Kanda, the third big book, of which this is now chapter 2. Puranic Trinity. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Their respective roles. Shaunika said, "Please tell us how the Lord created gods out of the constituents. O sage, I am not aware of the serial order of creation and their traits distinguishing one another." Thus spoken by Shaunika, Suta said in reply, Suta said, "O best of Brahmanic sages, you have put a pertinent question to me. Garuda had put the same question to Vishnu. I shall tell you, O pious one, what Vishnu had proclaimed to Garuda." Garuda said, "O blessed one of the nature of existence, consciousness, and bliss, please tell us how this universe came into being. When the process of creation is revealed, your excellence is manifested. I shall like to know the relative superiority of the gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and others. What are the means whereby one can attain moksha?" Thus questioned by Garuda, Lord Krishna spoke in reply. The Lord said, "The eternal, indeclinable Vishnu is of the basic form. Because he is all-pervading, his incarnation as Krishna is known as complete. Manifested in multi-forms, he becomes one at the time of dissolution. There, too, there is a demarcation line. He, the Supreme Reality, should be known by all means. By knowing him as many in different forms, or many in one, or by observing his different traits, forms, or components such as existence, consciousness, and bliss, one is absolved of tamas immediately. Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, and bliss." 10. When the hour of dissolution arrives, O best of birds, the form of Vishnu that was manifest in different individuals assemble in the all-embracing body of Vishnu. O bird, they are united with the root. And if you've just joined us, the bird in question is Garuda, the vehicle, the vahana of Lord Vishnu, who here is represented by Krishna, one of his avatars.
I think it's important also to notice that because Vishnu gets the prayers by his devotees via Garuda, this is why Garuda is interested in all these things, because the people that are praying about how to resolve these difficulties are praying. Garuda has to carry the message all the time. So he's got a direct interest in knowing what the answers are. Anyway.
If Vishnu becomes one with his reflection, Jiva, then how can Jiva remain dependent on Vishnu? Thus they explain the meaning of pratibimba. The difference between the two, reflected and reflection, is obvious therefore.
Well, what's obvious to me is that there's the thing and the thing being reflected, right? You wouldn't have a reflection if there wasn't a thing to reflect.
But at some point you wonder if the reflection is just bouncing another reflection off. And you look from an angle and you see reflections going off, getting smaller into the...
Yeah.
Is God just looking at himself in a mirror?
Pretty much. When it comes to the monotheistic God, what choice do you have? If there's only one, then what he's looking at is him.
God is a solipsist.
This has been this is why I think mathematics speaks to it well, because the circle, the infinite or zero, that is the whole of the nothing. Then you've got one, the something, as opposed to the nothing. Which one's God? Yes, is the answer, I think, but that's another thing. Anyway.
And we digress. 15. Krishna, Rama, and others of equal cadre are the emanations of basic reality, i.e. Vishnu. Emanations of Vishnu. Amshas. Though they manifest in different forms, they are not to be thought of as separate. Those who are in search of reality should note a special point. Jivas are related to the root only partially. They stand as jivas distinct from the root. Souls, persons, in a sense. The knowledge of the root is essential. Those who are not aware of the root are asuras.
So verse 16, 17.
16, 17 was this. Those who are in search of reality should note a special point. Jivas are related to the root only partially. They stand as jivas distinct from the root. So this is identity and difference, is the beta thing, or, sort of the...
Well, as soon as you become other, you're distinct from the root, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what we're saying?
We're saying what?
As soon as you become separate from the one, you are distinct from the one.
Either that or you're deluded. I mean, there's two approaches, aren't there? One is that you really are just...
It's still all one.
Completely deluded.
Still, but, you're once separated from it, so you don't realize that you're the one. And that it's you.
Right. Because Maya has clouded your vision. 18. The knowledge of the root is essential. Those who are not aware of the root are asuras. Sort of like demons, non-gods.
If you don't recognize God, is that what it means?
Yeah, in a sense, knowledge of Vishnu, of God. Having some knowledge of God is essential. If you have no awareness, then you're a demon. You don't know God at all. They think that by illusion, the non-dual entity shows many forms as reflections in the mirror. They're talking about all this philosophical stuff. I'm going to read that again. The knowledge of the root is essential. Those who are not aware of the root are asuras. They think that by illusion, the non-dual entity shows many forms as reflections in the mirror. But this sort of thinking takes them to the region of pitch darkness. The marks that distinguish self from supreme self are twofold, internal and external. The external marks disappear as the material dissolves. The internal difference remains even in the state of release. If both the internal and external differences disappear, there being non-dual Brahman in existence, how can there be a difference due to reflection and the thing reflected? See, so this is an argument between the dualists and the monists, if you will, not monotheists necessarily, but the monists. That it's all one, and part of it is, as I understand it, in the Krishna cult, which obviously this is coming out of, the bliss in union with Krishna, the bliss of being in the presence of Krishna, would be lost if you merged utterly into Krishna. And so there's sort of this motivation for it to remain separate, so that there's an enjoyer of this bliss.
Yeah, well, that's what Shiva said all along.
Shiva, well, we're talking Krishna.
I think we're splitting hairs.
Well, when you're talking about Godhead, that's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You call him by different names.
The spiral or the axis of the spiral? Gee. Wait, you're both right. Quit it.
All right.
Come on.
So the distinguishing mark of the self going to be released is consciousness or awareness, chit. The distinguishing mark of the self going to hell or region of darkness is suffering. For the jiva who is prone to migrate, the distinguishing mark is mixed, chidrupa and dukharupa. The grass body is an external appendage for the seeker. Now I'm
The
reminded.
grass body.
Yeah, well, I'm reminded.
Remember they did that ritual with.
Okay, you
Well,
take it away.
I think they took darba grass and they made
Yeah.
a figure of a person out of it. And then they dressed him up and they named him as that person. And it's part of the funerary rite, I think a year later or when there isn't a body available.
23. As the evil-minded asuras often cause distress, Vishnu feels distressed on that account. Thus the nature of the Lord being none other than distress itself, the Lord acquires nature of reflection. One should note the distinguishing mark of the Lord's reflection in the Daityas. Among the divine forms as that of Surya, or of human forms as that of Sita, there is not in the least any difference, internal or external. He who ponders over the difference goes to hell. The image of an object or a person reflected in the mirror is always akin to the object or person reflected. What's with this going to hell stuff?
Yeah, well,
good
question. Verse where we're talking about the mirror.
Yeah.
What verse number? It's near the end there.
Well, I guess, this is all about reflection. He who ponders over the difference goes to hell. The image of an object or a person reflected in the mirror is always akin to the object or person reflected in the mirror. What
number are you?
26. Okay. 27. At the hour of dissolution, O best of birds, the jivas in the form of Lord's reflection do not merge into Lord. Not even the slightest doubt be entertained, O son of Vinita, about the non-difference between reflection and the object reflected. When the hour of dissolution arrives, the Lord sleeps in the ocean, keeping jivas in his belly. Also the released souls, Brahma, Maruts, etc., as well as those going to be liberated, those present in hell, those who are likely to fall, those who are stationary, those who rotate in the wheel of life and death, those who are wild beasts, bears, etc. Keeping all these in the belly, the Lord sleeps in waters for duration of a kalpa. Kalpa.
So this is Vishnu underwater, right?
Yep. Kalpa. Footnote 1. A day of Brahma consisting of 1,000 yugas or 14 manvantaras, being a period of 432 million years of mortals. One day for Brahma. We call it a kalpa. Lakshmi corresponds to knowledge embodied in the Vedas. She is nourished by devotion to Vishnu. She exhibits devotion to Vishnu in the movements of her body and offers homage to the Lord. There is nothing but Vishnu and Lakshmi as the creation came into being. The goddess Lakshmi serves as a...
What number?
32. There was nothing but Vishnu and Lakshmi as creation came into being. The creation. 33. The goddess Lakshmi served as a couch to the Lord. She was her Lord's abode. Among the females, she was the first who praised the Lord thus: in your excellence you exceed all. None is comparable to you. None excels you. You are the non-dual Brahma. The term is applicable neither to Brahma, nor to Lakshmi, nor to Rudra, nor to Brahaspati. The term is applicable primarily to Vishnu. It is secondarily applicable to Brahma, Rudra, and others, being the storehouse of endless merits. Vishnu is called Brahma. Not Brahma, but Brahma. Brahma, the ultimate, of which Brahma is derivative. Other gods contain no fullness of merits, hence they are not called Brahma. They are non-eternal in relation to space or time. No problem could have arisen were they found eternal in all respects, but the problem stands, for Brahma and other gods are not eternal due to the shortage of their merits. Though I am comparable to Lord Vasudeva in respect of eternality in relation to time and space, I am not equal to him in the fullness of merit. The Vedas declare your manifold merits, which in all authoritative texts remain uncontradicted. Your merits are endless, some being manifest and some hidden. Therefore, we are unable to evaluate your merits. Pardon me. Neither I nor Saraswati. Footnote. Saraswati, the daughter of Brahma, was born from his mouth. Brahma fell in love with her. She tried her best to avoid him, but found escape impossible. She yielded to his desire. As a result, a son called Virat was born to them. Father and daughter. Chinatown all over again. The movie. Okay, therefore we are unable to evaluate your merits, neither I nor Saraswati, Shiva, Rudra, Sati, the daughter of Daksha, Parvati, the daughter of Menaka or Mena, Indra, Indrani, Agni, Yama, Narada, Bhrigu, Vasishta, Ganesha, Bali, Virata, Bhuman, footnote 2, Earth, Shami, Kaseru, Kinnara, Manes, gods, Gandharvas, footnote 3. Gandharvas, a class of demigods regarded as the singers or musicians of gods. Tushyas, kings, and their proteges can praise your virtue. Brahma is inferior to me by crores of merits. Vayu, being equal to Brahma, is inferior to me by the same number. The two are equal to each other in the matter of detachment, in their devotion to Vishnu, in their courage, stability, life, strength, restraint, and intellect from the origin to the dissolution of the universe. The two are inseparable in the exercise of their power or support. The Vedas equate Vishnu with Brahma in support of the universe. They declare Vayu as Jiva, the life principle of the universe. Vayu is wind. So saying wind is the life principle of the universe. Vayu, which is interesting. Purana becomes, is wind in a sense, and it's the vital force of life. Vayu cannot function without the support of Brahma. They support each other in activating the universe. Their mutual superiority can very well be evaluated by taking recourse to time. When Lord Brahma controlled the principle of intellect from activating material creation lying dormant in the universal egg, Vayu was unable to set it in motion. The evolution of the universe was the event of later date. It's a long one. The Honorable Saraswati was born after Brahma had completed this 1 year. When 10 years were completed, the Honorable Vayu came into being. In the material world, Vayu is inferior to Vishnu, but their coordination does not suffer by this inferiority. Saraswati was born after Brahma completed a year. Saraswati is therefore inferior to Vishnu in respect of time. Vayu is much more inferior in the same respect. After Vayu had completed a year, Vak was born, and that's like the speech, like primal speech, the word, A year Vak was born, as it was born after it perished early. Shesha, the lord of snakes, Indra, and Rudra, the three, are equal in knowledge, strength, and spirit. Still, they are inferior to each other in respect of time. They last for 2,000 divine years. Shesha, Rudra, Brahma, and Vayu are of equal cadre and equal efficacy in the process of evolving the material creation. They are inferior to one another only in respect of time, but this inferiority should be totally ignored. We're now at 52. Varuni, Parvati, and Sauparna, the three, were born after 10 years. They should be treated as par with Saraswati and Bharati. Indra is superior to Rudrani, wife of Rudra. This knowledge is always gainful. Possessed of this knowledge, one is called the knower. He alone has the knowledge of the Vedas. One who is ignorant of different traits of gods is not the knower of the Vedas. He is merely a Vedavadan, not a Vedapataka. Whatever syllables of the Vedas are repeated by men of three castes constitute the very names of Hari, which are ever dear to him. Hari is my master. I am a lifelong slave of Hari. Brahma and other gods are my lifelong preceptors. The Vedas declare Hari is the Lord of all. He who learns the Vedas with this knowledge is the best of the twice born. He alone is the knower of the Vedas. Other than him, only a Vedavadan who carries the burden of the Vedas on his shoulders. Men possessing knowledge of Brahman, supreme reality, and that of the supreme text, i.e., the Vedas, speak to each other thus: Veda is water wherein abides Vishnu. Men of teaching and other professions incur countless sins which out of compassion he condones if they utter his three names. The Supreme Lord, when he observes that a guiltless person with an honorable place in society has committed a sinful deed, is extremely irritated and howls at him. O Govinda, you can be realized only by means of true knowledge, not by any other means. You are of the nature of bliss. Rise, O Keshava, and be favorable to me. O Lord, you have the power to create as well as dissolve the universe. You generate Brahma and urge him to create the universe. You generate Rudra and urge him to dissolve it. You observe God Brahma, Shesha, and the rest who are worthy of approach. Rise up, O Hari, that are ever watchful, deprived of true knowledge and engrossed in worldly affairs from Kalpa. It says from Katpa to Kalpa, but I think it's just Kalpa to Kalpa, from age to age. I undergo torturous pains of unbearable suffering, O Lord. O Hari, you are the nature of consciousness, Chit Shakti. You throw sinful daityas and evil-minded persons in the dungeon full of intense darkness. They say you are of the nature of suffering, O Hari, since you are distressed by that act of yours. Rise, O Narayana, Vasudeva, Krishna, Achyuta, Madhava, Vaikunta, Lord of Lakshmi, of compassionate nature, homage to you. Rise, O Lord of Madhu, Lord of Saraswati, Lord of Rudra, Lord of Ambika, Lord of the Moon, Lord of Shachi, Lord of the Brahmins, Lord of Devotion, Lord of Cows. Rise, O Lord. You that are fond of Shastras, rise up. You that are fond of Rika hymns, rise up. You that are fond of Yajus, rise up. You that are a primary cause and fond of Saman, rise up. You that are the enemy of Mura and fond of Atharva lore, rise up. So if you didn't catch that, they're actually going through the Vedas. You were fond of the Rig Veda, you were fond of the Yajur Veda, you were fond of the Samana Veda, and you were fond of the Atharva Veda. But you are an enemy of Mura, and they thought that was worthy of footnote. So that Mura is the Asura born to Kashyapa Prajapati of his wife Danu. It was at this time that Lord Krishna, the incarnation of Mahavishnu, attacked Pragyotisha, the capital city of Asura Naraka, demon hell, Asura Naraka. Mura went to help his friend Naraka, hell. In the fight that ensued, Naraka and Mura were slain by Krishna. You that are of primeval form, you that are fond of prose, you that you that are of variegated form, you that are fond of praise. You that are Lord of Lakshmi, we please you with melodious song. Rise, O Lord, rise immediately.
Very nice prayer there at the end. It starts in verse 62 and goes to verse 69. But it's all about rise, rise, rise. It's very interesting in that way. This whole business about superior and inferior is also very interesting because it tries to rank the gods in terms of unfoldment or something like that. So the more primal you are, the more important you are.
Mm-hmm.
And then proceeds to say, of course, none of this matters. Doesn't make any difference. Ignore it. It's like...
Yes and no.
Right, exactly. The fact that Garuda is asking questions about, who's greater, who's lesser, basically. What's the pecking order here?
He's a bird.
How it started out. This is verse 3, like...
Birds want to know.
Sure.
What's the pecking order here?
And, the very preliminary verses 1 through 3, 1 to 2, really, is all about what the setup is. It's about Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva as the Trimurti, the Puranic Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I just thought it was interesting how it laid out these sections. There were at least 3 or 4 of these sections. You talk to the bear or me?
If the shoe fits.
Yeah, well.
This one.
I have a question.
Okay.
There was something in verse 27. Can you read that one again? And I started to write it down, and then something more interesting captured me.
Yeah. 27. At the hour of dissolution, O best of birds, the jivas in the form of Lord's reflection do not merge into Lord. All of these spirits and souls that are the reflection of God at the hour of dissolution, they don't merge into him. Not even the slightest doubt be entertained, O son of Vinatha, about the non-difference between reflection and the object reflected, in other words, the sameness.
Mm-hmm.
But when the hour of dissolution arrives, the Lord sleeps in the ocean, keeping jivas in his belly. Ta-da! Mystery solved. More mysteries created.
Yeah.
His belly.
Many, many, many more. But if we think of Vishnu as the spiraling form that's going out,
Which he kind of is, yeah. Expansion, manifestation.
All those nebulas that we see as stars, all moving out from the center.
You see him in the Ammonite,
right?
The fossilized.
There again, it's spiral. The movement of the planets is spiral as well. So, it's embedded in the thing, isn't it?
The thing itself.
The thing itself. The reflection of God is this form, this unfoldment, this solar wind. Vayu. And so I can see where there's, it's very evocative to me because it's very elemental. The things they're talking about are very primal.
Mm-hmm.
You find similar unfoldment stories in other cultures, like Separate Zero. You certainly could parallel some of the sections of the Puranas with something like that.
Yeah, and it sort of follows the pattern of a lot of Puranas and starting out in the beginning, and then the
Genesis.
Unfoldment from ultimate deity into this busy little world where we can now tell stories about stuff.
Pretty interesting, really.
Pretty interesting. Yeah. Okay, is that it?
I think so.
See you later.
for today.